How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. We are going over a video. I think it might have been a suggestion. I know, so far back. I'm so sorry. It takes me forever to get through these. But this is by Joel Beckman, step-by-step solutions to fix unwanted barking so you can meet people in the real world. So it'll be interesting to hear how he helps these ladies out with their barking dog. So before we get started, of course, with all of my videos using this under Fair Use Act for education, criticism, giving my point of view, trying to give a voice to the dog and maybe counteract some of the misinformation he may spread or just, less than ideal techniques that he teaches. Along with that, if you like any of my videos and you want to subscribe, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. If you like Joel, then of course go support Joel. I do have a Patreon up. There's a link in the description below if you want to support the channel, and you can get some special content and longer version of the content that I put up here, where I try to cut out some of the longer talking or some of the story time and all that stories and rants that I go on. I try to cut that out. So if you want to see some extras or get some personal help, you can check out the Patreon. But of course, that is not necessary. I appreciate everybody just checking out the channel anyway. So, if you're ready to see how he's going to fix unwanted barking, then let's get started.
And you're going to slowly pull up on the leash. I want you to do a pull up on the leash coupled with...
Okay, so that was unnecessary. Now he's just reinforcing, if she already had that thought of being tough and big, show the dog who's boss and this and that. Now he's reinforcing that thought. If she didn't think that way before, then now he's teaching her that. I mean, this dog, you don't need to pull up on their leash. You can ask for a sit. You can lure them. You can move around, wait for an automatic sit. You don't need to be controlling like this guy is. The dog gave a couple lip licks when he sat.
Yeah, but don't worry about it right now. You're going to do a pull up on the leash. With your right hand, you're going to have a treat.
See, the dog sat. He gave lip licks. Nothing else happened. He wasn't rewarded for it, so he stands back up again.
And at the exact same time, you're going to say, sit.
He's still... sit. Again, he's just commanding, so over-controlling. And that's just, that, that's only part of, that only scratches the surface. That one sit, I wouldn't call someone super controlling because of that, but because I've, covered quite a few of his videos, I know he's just very over-controlling. Dog is showing spatula tongue, long lips, hot, because they're a black dog, and it looks hot outside, and warm, and nonetheless, they are still showing, to me, maybe stress panting because they're in his presence, and every dog starts stress panting when they're in his presence.
Like that. Hopefully that treat is enough where he's going to kind of back up and he's going to go into a sit. You're then going to treat him.
So he's talking about food. He doesn't even know how to use food because he never does. So when he does, he sucks at it. Just like any other trainer, balanced or compulsion trainers that try to use food, they don't know how to do it. So he's going to say, and hopefully that'll be enough to hold them. Okay, well, how about instead of doing it wrong and then claiming that, positive reinforcement doesn't work, treats don't work, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I'm a snack leader, not a pack leader. I did not make that up, that saying, but I did, I see it I saw it on Facebook, and I like to, I like to call myself, I love it, I'm going to steal it and say I'm a snack leader, not a pack leader. So if you're going to be using treats, and food, and even a toy or whatever, but in this case, food, you don't want to use it as that would be like a bribe where you're like, I hope it's, or you're hoping, hoping is not a plan. That's just luck. I hope it's going to hold him there. Well, if you're trying to teach your dog to not bark and he wants the dog to sit next to him, I don't care if it's where the dog is really. I mean, if you want to have control of the situation, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of control in the situation. If you want to have your dog sit, you're able to pop and reward. And by pop, I mean literally take your hand and pop a treat in front of them and let them have it. Not like a leash pop. Give them reward. While they sit there, they can stand up, they can do whatever. Reward again after a couple seconds. And just test that. And if we're not hoping anything, I'm looking to see if they're going to pop up, a bunch, or if they're going to start barking. If they do, then I say, okay, we need to increase distance from whatever the person is, whatever the trigger is, and then we're going to try again. And I'm just going to keep doing that and testing, and then I will see what the threshold is, and that's where we start, and that's where we continue to reinforce for the next little while. For me, the next little while would be a couple of days, or until the dog shows that they made enough progress, they really understand, and they've practiced and they've been reinforced a good bit and created a good new foundation. They can sit there while someone walks by over here, and then we get them closer and closer over time, and then we can work on the handshake and so on and so forth.
Give you a treat bag on this side. Then, if he stays in that perfect sit next to you, I want you to every few seconds treat him. Just
That's
stand
good.
there. Don't tell me he's a good boy. And about 3 seconds
I mean,
later,
I love talking to my dogs. You know, some people, I think ignorant people, say that I talk too much to the dogs. Like, you talk a lot. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, my dog is not a mind reader. I want them to know they're a creature who appreciates you talking to them and acknowledging them. Unlike a horse who doesn't give a hoot, and unlike my ferret, Hermes, who doesn't even know that I exist or what I am or what he is or what life is. He just knows that, you know, he's just existing. I love ferrets. They're amazing. Hermes is just one of those little guys that's like, there's just a couple of pebbles bouncing around in his little noggin, and he's just happy to be wherever. But nonetheless, I don't mind talking to the dog. I think it's good that, you know, you don't want to be constantly talking, but every now and then, like, good job. You know, I do like to let them know with certain praise words, you know, that they're doing a really good job.
or I'll say treat. I want you to treat him.
Okay.
Then I want you to release him. I'll try not to give too many steps. On the release, it is not just him go in front of you. You're going to still have that short leash. On the release, he's going to kind of leave you. I want you to possibly.
So no, so now he's just teaching her to be confusing as hell, and I hate that he does that. That he says release, but it's not really release. It's just maybe you don't have to sit anymore, but you still have to stay next to me. I don't know. I hate this stupid release game that he does. It's not even releasing. It's just tricking a dog, and I hate being tricked. And it's just he sets the dog up for failure. He doesn't even know what the hell he's doing.
On it, Lord.
And how the hell is this going to help a dog barking?
She was just waiting there with the treats.
Yeah, probably had to go in the cupboard and get those out, you know, dust-covered treats because you never use them.
Did you get her in there?
So the dog's already sitting. Dog is already throwing out behaviors to get a good reward.
Blooper. Okay.
Well, yeah, why shouldn't he? Because he says, oh yeah, I've got some reinforcement. Heck yeah, I'll do that. You wouldn't work if you didn't have the incentive of being paid. Or if somebody was going to beat you with something, just like a dog. You know, if somebody was going to pop you on the collar with a leash, or smack you in the face, or if they were to say, hey, do this because you're going to get paid, or you're going to do this because I'm going to beat you, or whatever, or don't, you know, I'm not going to pay you, I'm not going to hurt you either, and you're not going to do it either.
So, we don't want to sit in front of you. We don't want him even being in front of you like this. I know I'm not a short leash guy, but like...
No, you are. You absolutely are. I mean, you're a short leash guy without having the leash actually short, but you're over controlling.
Want a short leash. Take that, put a treat in your right hand. Give it to him. That was a nice sit. You didn't even ask it, but who cares? I want you to walk straight.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so he's just randomly throwing out times to treat and this and that, and I don't have a problem. I'm absolutely happy with that. But the fact that the information that he's saying and the message he's saying, you know, he's like, okay, give him a treat there. You didn't ask for it, but who cares? I mean, it just, the way he says it just sounds, I don't know, like it'd be confusing to me. You know, I would just tell him like, hey, he sat. Absolutely, I would tell him to give him a treat. But I would also inform them anytime he's sitting or he's standing calmly, he's not, you know, he's looking at you, he's not staring at something else, he's not barking. That can be an opportunity to give him a reward. Which, with this dog, would probably be a million chances to reward. Doesn't mean you have to reward every single time.
Ready, stop, pull up on the leash, say sit.
Oh, no, okay, that was just a jerk and a pop, and he's gonna ruin her relationship with her dog.
Treat.
Lip lick before she gave him the treat because of the pull up and the yank. This is not positive reinforcement, people. Just because you're giving him a treat and he's taking it, that's more like, I slapped you, but here, I love you. Here's $5. Or I'm just like, you know, I yelled at you, but then I said, hey, let's go get ice cream afterwards.
Give him a little more leash. Okay, walk.
No talking to the dog, no nothing. No, let's go. No heel, so he knows what you want him to do. Just walk and drag.
Now, the pull-up is not really it's more of a cue.
Ouch. I know that didn't hurt. I subconsciously say ouch. Pop, pop. Doesn't need to be...
Nope.
Okay, so now she's confused. He's confusing her because she has a treat. She's going to lure him. She's popping him because of the pop. You know, he would have been all over her if she had just worried about when to use the treat. Every time he sits, he reward. But because Joel's confusing her, whatever else she's learned is confusing her, now she's confusing the dog. Because the dog is going to learn to avoid her because all he ever gets is a pop pop, or sometimes a treat, sometimes a pop, and it's confusing.
Use the treat every time. Lure with the treat. Sit.
Okay, well, Joel didn't say that earlier. Earlier, he said pull up and then treat. Now he says lure with the treat. She doesn't even need to do either of those. The dog would absolutely sit on his own. You wouldn't have to lure, which means you wouldn't have to become reliant on it. You wouldn't have to confuse the dog. This is all just confusing. I wouldn't worry about the dog being on leash right now. Especially since she says that the dog barks when he's off leash. So I would work inside the little building here, or even out here. We know that the dog knows that you have goodies, and that's okay. We're training. Training should be fun. The dog will know when you're training and when you're not training. So just walk around, take a couple steps. When the dog is, follows you, wait for that sit. He sits, reward. Or if he's just standing there, you can reward him so far for the standing, but staying close to you. Then you can take another couple steps. If he sits automatically, perfect. Here's a video showing how I worked with my Shiba. This is an older video, but a couple of years ago.
I keep the treat in between two fingers here.
So I'm showing you if you do want to lure walking with the treat, then I'm using my hand in a certain way where I can still use this hand as a visual, which I will show you in a second. But this is if I want to take
flat,
it.
as a visual for him.
I'm going to take a couple steps in a second,
I have my treat,
but he's still standing there, so I can reward him against
step.
that.
He follows. I mark him.
My hand being there prevents him from moving forward, ahead of me.
I have my hand here. It's empty now.
I can turn around,
he
empty
follows
hand.
it. Then I can mark and reward. And then we can continue again. I have an empty hand here. We take a step. He follows.
And the hand is still there to keep him, I love my little boy, to keep him from, moving forward. And this is not a young dog. He was 10 or 11 here. Adonis.
And his goal can be to touch the hand, just follow it as a visual.
And this whole time he can walk away if he wants to. I don't care. I'm not trying to, I don't have to have a leash to hold him in place. I could have continued reinforcing there if I was going to stand there and continue standing there and I wanted him to stay with me there.
Good boy.
But the hand again is there, teaches him to stop. It's a visual stop sign.
He doesn't have to touch it. He can. He's licking it. Whatever you want. It doesn't really matter.
He looks away, gets a little distracted, and he says, "Oh yeah, we're going back to this. I'm not, jerking on him. I'm not yanking on him. I'm not doing any of that."
This is real life training. Just showing you, teaching him a new behavior. So we're against the wall. We start with.
So I'm teaching him a new behavior by him being on the right side. I usually, when I taught him heel, I never ever used heel, but when I did work with heel, he was on the left hand side.
The treat in our hand. We take one step at a time, mark reward, then you can increase the number of steps that you do. Then you fade away from the treat by having your empty hand, and you can take one step, and then mark and reward, and you work your way up.
He's like, "Mom, you've got the treat." Didn't have the treat, but I can still reward him afterwards. And then, that was late on the click, just so everybody knows.
You want to fade away from even the hand signal. So you can take one step.
And he stopped because he was used to following my leg and getting to a certain distance. And also, I'm not trying to take a bajillion steps.
And during this time, I don't give him the verbal yet. You can at any point if you wish. I just really want to have that behavior down.
Good. So I turned. He was not used to following me on that turn, or he got distracted.
Boy.
So I just tapped my leg to remind him. I don't have to scream at him. I don't have to say, sit, blah, blah, blah. So while you're doing all this behavior, so she could be doing the same thing. This dog has his foot up. He's more nervous. Ears are kind of flattened out. Mouth is closed. She doesn't even need the leash here. She can be doing the same thing with her hand. If she wanted the dog, instead of standing, to sit, then she could have her flat hand here, or even, with balled up treat in it, or whatever, she wants her hand to be configured in, whatever shape. Then she can just lift her hand up very lightly, and the dog would sit on his own. She doesn't need the leash.
Combine the two cues. The pull up, you got to condition it to mean.
Why? Why though? Why do you need to? You don't need to condition that. It's one extra step that she doesn't even need. The dog would sit on his own because he sat earlier on his own. She didn't reward him, and then he got up again.
Don't treat. Treat. Stand up tall. Treat. Put him back in a sit. He's not conditioned to it. Walk. Take a treat. Good. Yeah, you're cruising down the street. And I know I don't do a lot of short leash stuff.
So she's, again, pop, pop. She's really loud hands. He's teaching her to have loud hands. He's making everything confusing. Pop, 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 pop.
Okay, try to have that treat ready on that first pull. You're going to be presenting the treat.
So again, yank. Dog doesn't even know heel. At least in this circumstance, I think the dog would absolutely do a beautiful heel. But with the collar, you're confusing the dog. You're putting pressure on him. So Joel should have showed her firsthand a visual example and done it a couple of times. Then practice her being in the dog's position, so that way you're not practicing on the dog. I'm not calling her a dog or anybody a dog by any means. I mean that you're practicing with the human, where he can walk with her at the shoulder. When he stops, then she would stop with him. Then he could show her with his hand, or just that way where he could have a demo dog. That way you're not practicing the wrong stuff, the wrong timing with the dog you're trying to teach to prevent. Jesus.
Treat. Loosen the leash.
Yank and treat. She's still not with her hand in front of the dog's nose to sit. That's why this is all unnecessary. She's just confusing, and she's, I don't really blame her. She's listening to Joel, but still, it's like, this is not working.
Second, put him back in a sit.
Yank, yank, yank.
And treat for a stay. Tell him stay. Stand up tall. Put him back in a sit.
He doesn't even know how to just sit there on his own without, you're working way too quick. Now you add a stay to it and this and that. Like, just work on a 1 second sit and then release and then so on and so forth. I mean, good Lord.
Don't treat for it. Stand up
So
tall.
now you don't treat for it.
Treat.
Look how confused she looks, man. She looks like...
Tell him stay. Put him back in.
So he's so slow with what he's trying to compute to her, which is why he should just show her. Or just work on one behavior at a time. Because now he says stay, by the time she says stay, the dog stands up, so now the dog might even start thinking that, oh, stay means to stand up.
Sit.
Yanking, more lip licks.
Stand up tall. Treat. Put him back in a sit.
Dude, Joel, you are horrible at working with dogs, and you're even worse with communicating with your own species. Good Lord. Yank.
Stand up.
Which he's still not correcting her on that. It's well, of course he's not, because he told her to yank up on the leash.
Tall. Treat. Tell him stay. Stand up tall. Treat. Stand up tall. Treat. I don't care that he's not looking at you. Don't treat.
I don't care that he's not looking at you. Well, then get his attention and you can reward. I mean, this dog, this is a shit show. Now you don't reward him for that because he got up and just, oh my God, dude.
Put him back in a sit. We'll do this all day, buddy.
No. I mean, they will, and you're not going to get anywhere. She could have been perfectly fine, no leash. This dog would have been in a sit-stay perfectly fine, I'm sure, within 5 minutes if he knew anything about what the hell he was doing. But instead, he makes it an excuse and acts as if it's a special method that, no, we got all day for this. No. If you spend all day on it, then you're an idiot because you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you have to spend all day on teaching a dog a simple sit-stay. Joel can't even teach a dog sit-stay without using a leash, without popping a dog, without confusing the hell out of everybody involved. Good Lord, dude.
There you go. Treat. Tell him stay. Hey, how are you? Boom, back in the sit. I don't care that our neighbor is talking.
The thing, okay, so the thing about this is he's teaching her just like everybody teaches, to force the dog into a sit, although they're giving treats, it doesn't matter. because in the dog's mind, he may take treats, but, he can still be nervous. So Joel is essentially teaching her to teach her dog that I will force you into an uncomfortable, submissive position or posture, just sitting here, and you have to be okay with it. I don't care if you're nervous. I don't care about anything else. Joel is teaching her to put her dog in possibly harm's way. I don't know. They're okay. Joel is going to be putting the people that come to say hello to her and her dog in possibly in harm's way. And here's why I think that's a possibility. Because we put our dogs in this position to make the human feel comfortable in the situation. We don't, I say we don't. I mean, Joel doesn't. A lot of people don't care. I care about how the dog feels. A lot of people don't. Or they don't think about it that way. By putting the dog and forcing them into a sit or a down and no other position, and just basically saying sit down and shut up, even though there's a treat involved, it really doesn't change the dog's, mindset. The dog may still take a treat and still want to bite, or the dog may may not take a treat if they're too, over threshold and nervous. So we put the dog into a sit to make us feel safer and more comfortable. But the dog, the whole time, may still feel threatened, may still want to bark, may still want to bite, because they are now essentially trapped and they cannot move away. Because every time they try to move away or warn you, they get corrected for it. So this dog now is forced to sit and forced to shut up, and because Joel is teaching her, just like he teaches all of his other, human clients, that humans are, can do whatever the hell they want to, and you just have to put up with it. So he could be putting people in danger, just like there was a story. I mean, it happens time and time and time again. And I've worked with people with Great Danes and big, powerful dogs and whatnot. They force their dog into a sit before they say hello to somebody else because they're worried about how the dog is either embarrassing or scaring people away. And I tell my clients all the time, you may have a really strong dog or even a small dog, but by forcing them to sit down and look seemingly harmless, you then make it more comfortable for people to come in and harass the dog when the dog is not comfortable with that touching at all. And when they're forced to sit there, eventually they will lash out. Because normally the bark or the growl or standing up or moving away would be the dog's nice way of saying, please don't touch me. Please don't interact with me. I'm not comfortable with you. But a lot of people have made it, mainstream to force our animals. I mean, it's been going on for, probably as long as dog training has been around, that people will force the dog into more of a submissive, calm, quiet appearing situation or position. And they may appear like they're perfectly well behaved, and they may be behaving well, but what's going on in here, the brain, the emotional state, is entirely at the other end of the spectrum. So I don't ever I welcome a dog to growl at me or bark at me, or, this guy's just barking. We're not saying he's aggressive, but, I would much rather have a dog stand up, move away, bark at me, do whatever, and let me know they're uncomfortable with my presence than them just be sitting here and then be a ticking time bomb.
Okay, tell him stay. Put him back in a sit. Neighbor talking is of no concern.
Well, who cares? I mean that by again, over controlling. Like, yeah, the neighbor can talk. The dog can stand up. He doesn't have to sit down. I mean, Jesus. So now he's over threshold, or he's stressed now. He doesn't want to take the food. She may have paired the food with something negative because it gets popped and then treated, and he's just so confused and frustrated. I mean, we don't know how long they've been here. There's only a 17-minute video, but we don't know how long they've been working. Dog didn't even want to take the treat, so we'll just pop harder.
Good job. Tell him stay.
No, that's not a good job.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, good job for the human. Forcing the dog to just sit here and comply. Who cares if he's nervous Or, I mean, that's literally what Joel says. He doesn't care what he thinks. Well, I don't care what Joel thinks. I think he's an idiot. I mean, this idiot over here doesn't care how the dog feels, when he should, because this dog can easily kill someone, cause serious damage, bite someone, because we're teaching and forcing, not teaching, we're forcing them to just sit there and be calm. But they're not calm. He may appear to be calm, but on the inside, he could be just going, crazy.
Treat. Don't stay. No. Oh, you were gonna practice. Put him back in a sit.
Okay, so this whole time she's yanking. The dog's learning to ignore this loud pressure and hands, and so they can't even communicate with each other. She was gonna go and try to practice, out of nowhere. Joel didn't know that. Joel wasn't prepared, so he didn't tell her to do that. She just starts doing it. Which again, if you're not using and relying on this punishment, that's fine. You can make as many mistakes as you want to. You just have to know when you're making them and how to fix them. I would much rather have a mistimed treat and reward than a mistimed correction. I mean, this dog is just learning to just tune them out.
Tom, stay. How are ya?
He's not ready for this, I guarantee it. See? Now he's avoiding the treat. They don't realize what they're teaching the dog.
Oh, don't want him.
Yeah, we'll just shove it in his mouth. He's getting too stressed, too irritated. He's pairing the treats now with something as a negative, which is possible to do. Avoidance behavior.
What's his name? Treat. Just for the look alone. Oh,
see,
okay.
He's still avoiding.
He doesn't want it. Whatever.
No, it's not whatever. She's smiling because she thinks it's just funny. Like, they don't realize that they're actually ruining this dog's ability to use, food motivation. That's really hard to do. Like, any animal will be food motivated if you have high enough value. You're not just giving them kibble, dried out Cheerios, where they're overstressed. They're stressing this dog out so much that now, whereas he started off earlier where he was super excited to see the treat pouch, he's like following her. He's sitting on his own. He's showing lots of sits and happiness.
Okay. So,
and now he's over here just shutting down and stressed and avoiding food.
being creepy.
Right.
Okay.
So, good on you, Joel. You taught her to go backwards in time. You taught her to miss out on training, and to undo training she has done, and to undo the bond she's had with her dog. Bravo. You're an idiot. How are you charging people thousands of dollars? You can't even get this dog to stay without having to rely on correction. You have treats here, and you still somehow made them a negative. Oh my gosh. Alright, well anyway, that's this video. So, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you want to see more, then you're welcome to subscribe, or like, or dislike, leave a comment. Go say hi to your little critters. Say how you do for me. Give them some kind of loving. And until next time, stay positive.